was at a grocery store getting ready to go in and buy meat to grill, and I noticed that it was just so many people that were at the grocery store. I couldn't imagine what was going on. And people looked at me like I was crazy because I had, meat, and people were buying non-perishable goods.
We debated whether or not we ought to leave. And then instinctively my wife said, well, that might be trauma for the kids. Let's leave.
I run away from storms. I'm not one to stay. I unhooked my server and my laptop, which has all of my financials. So without those two pieces of equipment, this company would not have been around.
All of a sudden, there was a rumble and my house shook. Turned out that a 100-year-plus old tree had fell on my office and crushed it.
I'm looking at the TV, it just looked like it was just total devastation. This is when people were still, on bridges and those kind of things.
You were seeing your cousins, your aunts, your family, everyone who you had grown up with, people that you loved, and you saw the hurt and the despair.
If you're in the philanthropic business, there's no greater call to action than something like this. So you have to roll up your sleeves and do what you can. The UEP started with a collaboration between the National Economic Council of the White House, the Business Roundtable, the Kauffman Foundation, and the National Urban League. And the whole idea was to create kind of a one-stop shop for minority businesses trying to bring them to scale. We had a pilot program started in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Kansas City. While we were in the midst of setting up that program, Katrina hit. We came up with the idea, let's start a Gulf Coast UEP. And the question is, what role can entrepreneurship play in rebuilding a catastrophic situation?
We're a commercial construction company based here in Baton Rouge. The entire Gulf South is devastated. I mean, and it still is. And if you haven't been here to see it, you still can't fathom it. And I want to be a player in the reconstruction effort. I do. I want to be a player in rebuilding New Orleans. I want to be a player in rebuilding Mississippi.
I'm a first-generation businessman. I didn't go to school for this. I just learned it on my own. So you find yourself wanting to be a part of the recovery and the cleanup. And you can't, because first of all, you don't have the wherewithal. You go from no work to a lot of work. We have at least 450 units of housing that we're working on. That's what we need, housing, housing, housing. If we can't have the housing in the schools, you won't have the people.
Actually put together all of the systems for the Louisiana Superdome. I guess I'm in the business of doing successful deals. I've been making payroll since 1969. Katrina tried to interrupt me, but did not succeed.
You have to look at the entrepreneurial climate here for minority businesses prior to Katrina. And it wasn't that successful prior to Katrina. So now here comes Katrina, and now everybody wants minorities to participate in the rebuild. At what level are we talking about this participation? There are a lot of minority businesses around the country who want to come down and take advantage of the situation by coming in and getting contracts because they have large bonding capacity and so forth.
Because of the vast amount of destruction that was in this region, it gives us an opportunity to collaborate among groups to kind of help rebuild that community where the majority of people whose faces were shown around the world as not having anything can finally participate fairly and equally in the quality of life that others enjoy within the city of New Orleans for the long term.
The overall agenda and goal of the Urban Entrepreneur Program is to identify and provide the support to as many entrepreneurs as we can gather our arms around and put them in a position not only to participate significantly in the rebuild process in the Gulf Coast region, But at the same time, once that rebuild process is achieved, that they have enough substance, enough support, enough experience, that they will be a part of the permanent fabric and institution of the Gulf Coast and be successful entrepreneurs.
The minority entrepreneur plays a significant role in the community, both in terms of job creation, in terms of serving as a role model, in terms of helping to reduce the crime rate, contributing to the tax base, and creating an economic environment that positively impacts on the city. If an entrepreneur is looking for assistance and he came to the UEP Gulf Coast, one of the things that they've become very much aware of is that oftentimes the most vital resource that they need is not money, but it may very well be a coach. We bring in a coach.
You have to be receptive and you have to open up and understand that you know, all criticism is not bad. You should analyze, find your weak points. I mean, hey, we already know what you can do well, okay? Let's find out, you know, what you can't do well. Let's address this and let's move towards making a better business. Before it was, what's the next job? You know, when can we start? Now if this job is a good job, profitable job, we're actually looking at the relationship that can be built from this, what's going to be the residual amount of work that we'll be able to get.
The whole concept of tying everything together, you know, where you're a one-stop shop, you know, it's just a whole holistic approach towards making a company better or creating a company.
Their goal seems to be to develop not only an entrepreneur, but develop the whole community. Because what they want to do is to go in, to identify the people that they feel have the maximum potential and growth, not just for that particular person, but because as this person prospers, the entire community should.
This is a place at this point in time where we can really change the paradigm in terms of minority entrepreneurship. I mean, we can bring some rigor to the process, we can expand capacity, we can really use this as a model for how we train minority entrepreneurs around the country.
And our real goal is to be able to take what we learn and replicate it in other cities so that you're not constantly trying to recreate the wheel. Well, you don't have to, because you have a rigorous process that you know works. And that's what we're talking about, a model that is transportable, that is replicable, the UEP Gulf Coast model for repatriating small business.
What if we can create a playbook, not just for minority entrepreneurs, but for entrepreneurs in general? When a disaster occurs, we have an entrepreneurial playbook that the function of entrepreneurship can play a 25, 40, 50% role in the rebuilding efforts. That's an exciting thing. When Katrina hit and it was a national disaster, where were you? What did you do? You want to be on the sidelines or you want to be in the game? And I think that's what life is about, so we got in the game.
I see New Orleans closing the gap between the have and the have-nots. Whether that's done through better wages or whether it's done through the UEP model of creating urban entrepreneurs, I think it's going to be a great time.
Long term, I want the region to be prosperous. I want an economic boost in the arm that's going to come back into the region, you know, employ the people of the region, give them options, give them means to be successful.
My hope and prayer is New Orleans once again become the great American city that it was. It will return to its vibrancy, that the small and minority entrepreneurs will have a significant role in helping to develop the local communities, and that they will be able to create jobs and opportunities for people who will then be able to enjoy a very positive quality of life.
I actually went down to New Orleans, and I'm coming down Carrollton Avenue, and I look over and I see an old lady with a house coat on, and she has a sign on her porch that says, "Never give up the ship." And when I saw that I knew it was coming back. I mean, because it's that spirit. It's the Louisiana spirit.